Hi everyone, it's Bert from Season Gaming, and welcome to this week's Bitcast. We're at Bitcast 43, last week in January, so this crazy year is going fast already. Joined as usual by Ains and Dan, and this week we don't have as much news as we usually do just because of where we are in the year. We're going to be talking about the upcoming schedule as far as games releasing. We'll be doing our same fun on-the-spot question, and this week, Ains is going to try to stump us on Name That Game. So let's get started with our short news segment this week, and we're going to be talking about Metroid Prime 4. So this kind of hit the end of this week with a video that came directly from Nintendo, and they were talking about how Metroid Prime 4 has been somewhat squashed, canceled, /rebooting, whatever you want to call it. What they've done is literally restart Metroid Prime 4 development. So, Dan, let's start out with you. You play a lot of Switch. I know you're kind of waiting for some good software to kind of get there from a first-party perspective. You play a lot more third-party lately. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I'm a huge Metroid guy, so it's really disappointing. But I also want a quality product. So, with everything else out there, this doesn't, hurt my feelings too much. But, Retro Studios is the ones that did the other ones, right? The last Prime games, is that correct?
Yeah, they've done 1 for 3 Primes.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, it's in good hands. I've loved those games. So just bring it on. The Switch definitely needs some more first party stuff that isn't a port. So this is kind of it's good news, it's bad news, it's kind of both, but it is what it is. I'm gonna play it when it comes out. I will have it ready to go. So not this year, it doesn't look like though.
No, it's a long time. Ains, how about yourself? What do you think here?
Yeah, Metroid's one of the ones I really like on the Nintendo side, so I'm looking forward to it. I think this is good news, as Dan said. There's so much to play. I'd much rather them take their time and deliver a AAA game. I also like that Nintendo came out and just posted a video, of their game director just talking plainly and simply and saying, here's why and here's what we're doing. I like that transparency from Nintendo, so I thought that was good as well. The only thing I want to harp about real quickly, if you'll let me, is can we all just agree to judge delays in one way? Because depending on the game and the developer, it's like if there's a delay, you get people yelling about it and screaming about it, and then others are like, oh, delays are awesome. And it's like, there's no consistency in how we judge delays. And this came to mind because I was listening to a podcast about PlayStation, and they were talking about Dreams, a game that, we've talked about, and Dan and I know have said are really anxious for. So that game debuted at the PS4 reveal event in 2013, 5.5 years ago. It's still not out, and we're still talking about it. And everyone's just saying, like, it's going to be great, yet then someone says, oh, you excited about Crackdown 3? And it's like, oh, that game's finally coming out. It's like, and then we get Metroid Prime 4, and it's like, oh, this delay could be really good. And it's like, there's no consistency. I just wish there was consistency. Overall, generally speaking, delays are good. It gives more time for development, better than a rush product. So I like this. I just wish that people would look at them holistically across the board rather than dismissing some games and not others.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Another funny example there is Final Fantasy VII remake,
which I can't help but laughing about.
Yeah, I think the difference here is kind of like where the fanboys take it to. They were talking about how Final Fantasy was going to be this amazing game, and we have to kind of love it, and now it's delayed, and they're just working on it to figure it out. And then we kind of find out they were never really in full development; they were focusing on Kingdom Hearts, and so there's just a lot of things here. One thing that was funny to me in this announcement was the treatment from just a platform perspective. So Nintendo is not exactly known as being a transparent, platform maker or anything. A lot of stuff happens in the back end we don't know about. And now that they're doing this, I applaud them for finally doing this, but it's not like they have a history of being transparent on any of their game development, not just, Metroid. So glad they did that. I mean, it was kind of funny to kind of see him come out and just pretty much say, hey, we're not happy with where the development was. But let's talk about another game that the certain maker by their initials Microsoft MS was not happy about, and they ended up kind of canceling that game. And what happened when that happened? The whole world came into a crash, and Microsoft's dead. Xbox is a failed console, etc. So very different reception as you're talking about here. And we'll see what happens with it. I mean, from what the announcement sounded like, it pretty much said, find something else to play for a while, because Metroid Prime is not coming out for a while. And this was actually talked about during our, what's coming up with Switch here in the next, in the year of 2019. A lot of people had speculated that Prime was maybe going to be in the fall or something. And I was like, I don't know about that, guys. I'm not sure if that's coming. We don't know if Bayonetta is coming this year either. Still no release window even of that game. So we've got Yoshi coming out soon. And that's kind of all they have from a, first party perspective that we know about and are looking forward to. But, this could really kind of put some bad news in the Nintendo first party world. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, so I think that leaves their big fall game, unless it gets delayed, is Pokemon, right?
Yeah. We don't have an official date there either for Pokemon. No. So I don't know. It's as we will talk about coming up in sales numbers, and that's actually a good reason to segue to it. So let's talk about consoles. So as the year ended, 2018, and obviously last month, NPD did release some sales numbers for us to kind of look at. First of all, in December, it was obviously Switch that sold, with Microsoft actually coming up second with their Xbox One and PlayStation 4 coming in 3 as far as December sales. When we look at the year sales and consoles, no surprise here. The Switch did really, really well. If you look at it throughout the year, as I kind of joked in a few other podcasts or whatever that we did, it's up and down. So they did have a very strong start of the year. Sales kind of dipped a little bit, and they picked up again like crazy in the fall with some of their better releases. So Switch, number one seller for consoles in 2018. You guys expected this one? Surprise? What do you think?
Yeah, I expected it. We talked about Switch just seemed to be on fire late in the year with the release of Pokemon in particular. And, we've talked about it at length, so I won't harp on it, but it's just interesting. There's not a whole lot new there. There's a million ports. They've got some great indie game support, which I love, but I think you touched on it before. I think it's just that portable factor and the fact that you're getting a Nintendo product that seems to be hot. The Nintendo IPs are there. The portability factor is there from the DS side, and it's just all coming together for them. So these lack of gigantic, first-party exclusives, not really hurting them too much. Now, of course, Smash was a massive, massive success, right? So that was a big reason it killed in December. But as you were just saying, what's the first half or even 2019 look like? There's not a whole lot there. But I bet you it still sells well. I mean, Switch is on pace to continue selling, as we've seen.
Yeah, I mean, we look at it, through our perspective, the one percenters, and
whoa, rich guy.
I'm just saying, we what we see here on Twitter or stuff, we are, we see it through these, first party exclusives. There are people out there that play these video games, a large majority of them that doesn't even know what that means.
Yeah.
So, I understand how it's selling so well because, this is for more of a casual fan of just video games. Everybody knows the name. So obviously they're going to gravitate towards that. Super Smash Brothers. Everybody knows Smash Brothers and Mario and stuff like that. But, if I went and saw my mom and said, "Hey, Master Chief who the hell is Master Chief?" But I said Mario, my 65-year-old mother will know what it is. So it's
this world.
Yeah, right. Everybody knows it. It's going to continue to sell well because it's Nintendo, and that's really all you can say about it. We get a lot of ports. I bought them all, but it's still fun. I still enjoy playing it. Like a lot of indie games now, I'd get on the Switch, just for that portability factor, like you said, Ains. If I'm going out of town for the weekend, I'll just grab that and take it with me. So it does have its benefits, and it does not surprise me one bit that it sold more than everything else. So
yeah, it's an interesting thing because recently people have been talking about, between the Xbox, PlayStation, and Switch, how many pieces of software units sold does the average gamer have? So you were talking about, the hardcore gamer versus the casual gamer. So the casual gamer on the Switch side only has 3 to 4 titles. Mm-hmm. Whereas the Xbox owner is going to have somewhere between 5 and 6. And funny enough, the PlayStation owner is going to have 4 to 5. So people have been talking that if you're the average Xbox owner, you play more from a digital perspective because of Game Pass. Now that can turn into a whole different other conversation. But, from the PlayStation perspective, you're buying somewhere in between 4 to 5 is what they were talking about as well. So I think a lot of the Switch sales can be due just to how bad of a, I guess, failure, and I put that in quotes because it did pretty well, but not really compared to the competition. It got decimated. But if a lot of people didn't know the Wii U was a console, they thought it was an attachment to the Wii. And so a lot of the software that came out on the Wii U was skipped. And so the Nintendo fans gravitated to the handheld 3DS. The Switch comes out and they literally recycle their content to reach the people that didn't play that before. So that's kind of, for us more hardcore gamers, I did play the Wii U, as we always talk about. The stuff we've already played, we don't really have as much interest to go back to. So we're kind of like, where's the games? We need something else to play. So to each their own, as we always say, the Switch has been a massive seller. We'll see if the crazy Steam continues in 2019. You have to have some kind of software to buy the console. If not, the people that already have a Switch aren't going to really have anything to continue to play. And then the people that don't have a Switch either already have it or are maybe going to pick it up for that software that's going to draw them into picking that up. So that's where we'll see what happens in 2019. Let's talk about software sold. So with the consoles and the end of the year of 2018, what actually was the top selling software? So let's talk about that really quick. So number one, not really a big surprise, Red Dead Redemption 2, cross-platform. Tons of sales figures were coming out when this game came out. Where it is a big surprise for me was that it outsold some of the other big stuff that we'll talk about next. But
damn right.
We all play. We'll talk about how far people actually got into the game later.
I love you, Rockstar.
Yeah, but yeah, it's sold like crazy. Funny enough, I was in the UK when the game released, and it was just advertised everywhere. You go anywhere around the UK, and I'm sure it was the same way around the world. Billboards everywhere for Red Dead. So amazing marketing team there, and it's Rockstar, so it's going to do really well. Number two was, you guys want to take a guess on this one? Call of Duty Black Ops 4. So when that trailer initially came out, it's a failure. It's a dud. No one's going to buy it. No single player campaign. Where are we at the end of 2018? Number two in sales behind Red Dead Redemption, as they always do. Number three, another kind of not surprise for the States. Now, keep in mind, this is for the States. NBA 2K19, so basketball game from 2K Sports, always going to do really well. Followed closely behind by Madden. Now, I don't really play too much Madden anymore, but another big one. And the lone exclusive on not even the highest selling console right now that did really well is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, coming in at number 5. And I'll let you guys kind of comment on the top 5 here just to kind of get your thoughts. What are your thoughts here, guys?
Yeah, I bought 2 copies of Black Ops 4 over the past week. All right, so I haven't touched it. My kids wanted it.
Yep.
Unfortunately. So I bought it for myself and, game shared, and then I bought it for the other kid. Mm-hmm. That's all I've been playing. Let me tell you something about that game. It makes people so angry. Like, I've never seen my kids so angry. I can hear them downstairs. This game is trash. That was some trash. And they were 12 years old. I was like, what is happening? What have I done? But
I know someone on this podcast that does that.
He's not here today.
Yeah, but it's that other guy. But yeah, you know what? It doesn't surprise me one bit that those games are where they are. Red Dead, a little bit maybe, that it got surpassed it surpassed Black Ops and maybe not Madden so much, but NBA 2K19, how the 2Ks have always done really well. Madden always does really well. Smash Brothers, we knew what was going to happen there. Black Ops 4, man, is trash. That's what my kids say.
It's not.
But it was on sale. So
it's not hugely surprising here. The big question I think coming into the end of the year was, will Red Dead actually pass Call of Duty? And it apparently did it. So that's interesting. I think, I'm not sure, but I think Call of Duty had been the best-selling game for like 10 years running, something like that.
Pretty bad, yeah.
So that's pretty impressive for Red Dead in that regard. NBA 2K, I'm kind of surprised NBA 2K outsells Madden. I didn't realize that it would do that. So, because Madden is just giant, but it's no surprise here. And it's just funny, as we always talk about, these top 4 selling games are on every platform. They are not exclusives. So Smash Brothers is really impressive, though, especially, I think, as you said, Bert, that given the install base of the Switch being a lot lower, that it sold so well. So that's pretty crazy. I am proud of myself that I still have not picked up a copy.
Yeah, the main difference here. So if you're a European listener or even Australian, I know we get some listeners in Australia, funny enough, but the big difference here that switches up is FIFA. So FIFA will sub more than likely where Madden goes. Obviously, the rest of the world doesn't care about National Football League as much as we do here in the States. FIFA usually combats with NBA. So NBA is actually really big in other regions like China. Or any APAC or Asia Pacific. Well, I'm here talking in work mode here for a second.
Over the APAC region.
Yeah. Asia Pacific. You talk about the European area. They also like basketball, not as much as FIFA though. So FIFA jumps all those. Those are the other ones. Super Smash Brothers is going to be big globally regardless.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, I think in the UK, FIFA is number one, like year in, year out.
It is. Yeah, it does amazing. And funny enough, F1 sneaks in the top 10 of games. I guess you consider that a sports game. So they do pretty well in other regions as well. So you can kind of see that there. A couple surprises. We don't have this on our notes, but any games you think that, or you guys thought that would have done really well, but had really poor sales numbers this year?
I think I was looking at these the other day, and I think Battlefield snuck into number 10, if I recall correctly.
Yep.
Which is, I think we've talked about it. I like Battlefield 5. I know you're lower on it than I am, Bert. It seems to be really hit or miss with people this year, and I think they've really got to take a couple years off and just rethink what Battlefield is. I think it's stale for a lot of people. We'll see if this Firestorm mode, ignites anything. A fire maybe in March when it releases. See Ted shaking his head. What else? I'm trying to think of any other big cross-platform releases this year that we were talking about a lot that aren't on this list.
Now, yeah, I'm curious. Where is Monster Hunter World? Because I don't think anybody saw that happening.
Let me round out the top 10. So Battlefield actually didn't break into the top 10. It's like number 14 or something.
Okay.
The top 10, and so we talked about the top 5 there. So Smash at 5. Spider-Man, another exclusive which sneaks in, which amazing numbers. We talked about Spider-Man doing really well. Far Cry 5 at number 7. They had an amazing spring of 2018. Everybody was talking about that game and everything. God of War coming in at number 8, another exclusive, so good for Sony there. Number 9, Monster Hunter World. That was the game of the start of 2018. Everybody's talking about it, everything. So that's where that one ended up, Dan. And surprisingly, Odyssey's the one that snuck into the top 10. They had a really good December and November due to the holiday sales and everything. It did see a price drop there. So that's your top 10 of 2018.
Good for Ubisoft with Odyssey, man. That team deserves that. Really good game.
Yeah. So a couple surprises. So exclusives did kind of sneak in there for overall stuff. Once again, this is North America. Cross-platform stuff is always really going to be the leader just because of the install base. You can't really combat that with exclusives with any console. So those are your sales for this year. Looking pretty good. We usually don't talk about sales too much, but it is kind of the talk for the last week or so as to kind of what's going on between the end of the year. So that's kind of your summary of what's going on. Let's kind of talk about what's coming in 2019. So we have talked about how crowded the start of 2019 is. And this is just a reminder for you. So if you're listening and you're like, man, I don't really know what I'm getting for the next couple or even few months, let's talk about what's coming out. So Kingdom Hearts 3 is going to be your last big release of January. As I did mention, this is our last Bitcast of January, but there's still time for one more release, and that is coming out on the 29th, obviously cross-platform. Make sure to pick it up if you're a fan of the series. Jumping straight into February, Ains, I'll like to let you talk about February, and Dan, I'll let you take care of March. So massive months coming up. What have we got coming in February?
Sorry, January made me fall asleep there. So February, we waking back up.
Because it's only 1 week, not necessarily because of the game.
No, it's cool. It's cool to see Kingdom Hearts 3 actually coming out after so long, and I know tons and tons of people are pumped about it, seeing posts all over the place. So really cool. We've got Crackdown 3 and Far Cry New Dawn coming out on the 15th, so just a couple weeks from now. After that, you've got Metro Exodus still sticking to February 22nd, along with Anthem, which is probably far and large the biggest release in February. And Anthem, remember, if you're an EA Access, Origin Access, or pre-order the deluxe edition, I think you get early access to that as well. So There's multiple ways you can play Anthem before the 22nd. But yeah, I'm definitely going to be playing Crackdown, definitely going to be playing Anthem. Kind of torn on Metro right now. It looks amazing. I just don't know if I'm going to have time for it. And Far Cry, I'm just skipping. I don't want a Far Cry offshoot at this point in my life.
Dan, what's up in March?
I really like Far Cry. Anyway,
it's fun, but I don't have time.
Yeah, that's always the issue. So March, we've got Devil May Cry 5 coming out on the 8th. The Division 2, which is looking to be awesome. I wish there was a bigger gap between Anthem and that.
Yes.
Because it's really not enough time.
No, not at all.
I mean, and then you add in everything else that they were releasing in February. Sekiro, was it Shadows Die Twice?
Yep.
Don't know what that means. Coming out on the 22nd of March. And then Yoshi's Crafted World, which looks kind of cool, and I'm going to buy it because I have nothing else to do, even though I have 15 other games that I'm playing before that. But it looks really good. It comes out the 29th.
Yeah, so just let's talk about exclusives just because that's the big talk. So that's the big Nintendo exclusive for the start of 2019 is Yoshi's Crafted World. If you're a fan of any of the Yoshi's games in the past, you'll probably like this one. It's a really pretty looking game. Yeah, it's a very unique looking game as well. They go for like a yarn look, kind of a arts and craft type feeling when you're
like a crafted world, really.
Yeah, that's two. You're only supposed to get one of those per bit.
Yeah.
And other exclusives, we've got Crackdown 3 in February. So as Ains mentioned, that's all we have. And then the big one for the start of the year from Sony is Days Gone, and that is not coming out till April. So two big releases that we're most excited for in April. Mortal Kombat 11 on the 23rd, so the tail end of April, and also Days Gone, tail end of April, so that's the 26th. So if you're looking to pre-order any of these, do it when you can. Find the sales where you can if you get any advantages to that. That is your start of 2019. I guess you could think of that of Q1, kind of moving into Q2. Some stuff that you might be interested in there. Leave us a comment. Let us know if you're excited for any of these, if you're pre-ordering any of these. There's definitely different ways to get them. Andy, you were talking about EA Access. Does that mean Anthem's going to have EA Access trial for 10 hours?
It does.
10 hours.
Okay, yeah. Cool. That might be what I do. I have a feeling Anthem is going to be buggy as hell for the first month or two, and it's going to have to be patched like crazy. So
there's some bugs in the demo, which we'll talk about. One thing I wanted to add here, just for reference for people, are like collectibles or collector's editions, because there's a lot of weird ones here. So for instance, Metro Exodus has one. You can find that, I think, in multiple places. I'm trying to remember now. Anthem does not have a collector's edition. There's just the Legion of Dawn one, which is the $80 digital, kind of bonus. Division 2, for people who love Division, there are two different collector's editions. One is available at outlets. One is more expensive and only available at the Ubisoft store and was primarily sold last week. I haven't looked this week. Last week it was sold out except for the PS4. So you could not get it on Xbox One or PC. Sekiro has a collector's edition that is only at GameStop. So if you want that, it's only at GameStop. I don't know if it's still available. I don't know if anyone can check that real quick. And then Mortal Kombat 11 has a collector's edition that is only available at GameStop. We talked about it last week. It's $300, which is nuts. And then Days Gone has a collector's edition as well, which is available at all outlets. I think for $150, if I recall correctly, or $130. So kind of a mix of, if you're into collecting these big editions, there's a whole mix of weird places you have to go to get these if you're into them.
Yeah, and also a big one you purposely left off more than likely. Kingdom Hearts 3 does have a deluxe edition. You can get that pretty much anywhere. You might have seen the news this week, which we didn't really report on it too much, but they have been canceling some of those because they oversold on collector's editions, as well as the console that you can get from the PlayStation Pro side of that. So definitely, if you did pre-order one of these, check your emails. GameStop has been emailing people. They are offering a $25 gift card if you are one of the unfortunate that did get their pre-order canceled. So check that out. There's a standard one, like I mentioned. There's a deluxe you can get anywhere. So if you're part of any rewards programs, Amazon, Best Buy, and you are not part of the collector's edition ones, then just get that deluxe one. It does come with some extra DLC.
So frustrating for people like us who pre-order those things, and then if you get that email saying, it's not coming, that's so disappointing.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, there's a lot of people that have actually put it on social media. They pre-ordered day one, and then they had other people that pre-ordered 2 weeks later. They are getting a PlayStation 4 Pro, but the people that ordered on day one are not. So kind of a negative there. I don't know what GameStop does. As you guys know, I harp on them too much. I'm not going to do it again here. But that's the unfortunate part of retail stuff.
Yeah, so. And just for reference, Sekiro's Collector's Edition, forget it, it's sold out on all platforms.
Yeah, and that's a cool looking one, and it's not too expensive if I'm not mistaken. I think it's only like
90
or something. 90. Okay, 110 with tax. That's what I.
And not to take us off track, but it says pre-order and get a limited edition katana replica letter opener.
Whoa,
that's awesome.
It's cool looking. It's on a little stand and everything, so that's cool.
Gotcha. Okay, so that's it for our upcoming stuff. Hopefully you got a lot of information there. If you have any questions, maybe we glanced over or went over something too quick, leave it in the comments. We do like to reply to our comments as fast as we can. Ains and I check them probably throughout the day, 3 or 4 times a day to see if something snuck in there, and we can answer that for you as fast as possible. Moving over to our on-the-spot question, and this is kind of due to some news that has happened this week off of a certain website that snubbed a review again. This is due to the Resident Evil 2 review, incomplete review, yet commented on it as if the whole game was something. I'll let you guys Google that. We're not really into bashing other outlets, but it does happen. So my on-the-spot question for you guys is do you really look at reviews from a specific outlet and let that influence your opinion into buying a game at launch? Dan, you go first.
Say that one more time.
So do you look at reviews from a specific outlet, and that is your decider for purchasing that game, other than season gaming, of course?
Well, yeah, usually that's where I go to first, obviously.
Usually.
Yeah. I think I used to. I think back in the day, I used to look at Game Informer a lot. Mostly, I guess magazines, less, but that was so long ago before we had, all this access and stuff. Not a whole lot. I don't use it to, I think I use maybe more of a mix of several of them just to kind of see what the overall, feel of it is.
Like a Metacritic, OpenCritic type.
Right, like a Metacritic or OpenCritic, but not specifically one or two. Okay. I know people do, but there's the problem is, I think, you get a website like, say, Kotaku or something, although there's 15 different writers, and every one of them has a different opinion, and they may not review that specific game for you. You might agree with this one guy and say, hey, we got a lot in common. I think, we've got, I feel like his opinion and my opinion are, very close, except it's this other person that's reviewing it. So you can't really go to, I think, a website, maybe a person.
Sure.
But yeah, it's more of a, I buy everything anyway. I don't even know what the hell I'm talking about here. So I just see what happens. Hasn't bit me in the ass ever.
How about you, Ains?
I think to Dan's point, I used to more than I do now. I think that you made the excellent point, which I was going to make, Dan, which is, it's hard to say a site, and so many people got pissed off about this at IGN, right? And it's like, yeah, it's their responsibility in the end. But when you've got 20, 30 different people doing reviews and they're trying to put out a review every single day, it gets difficult for those major sites. I can understand that. I think it's more about the person and the opinion. So what I typically do nowadays is what Dan said, OpenCritic for like a general idea of what the game is trending at. But to be honest with you, I've gamed for so long. I look at this stuff all day, every day. I play every alpha and beta and demo, and, I'm just playing stuff all the time. I kind of know what is going to be good now. I know what I like. I know what developers make good products and what developers don't. And so I generally have an idea of how good a game is going to be ahead of time, just from being entrenched in this stuff day in, day out. I don't need someone else to tell me what they think of it mostly.
Gotcha. Yeah, me personally, I do the same thing. I look, if there's something that I was excited for and it's getting like a 30 or something on scores, and I'm like, oh, maybe I should pass on this one. And it's the same thing. If there's another game that was coming out, I was kind of, iffy about it and scoring 90s, 95 or something on Meta or OpenCritic, then I will be more interested in it than I was before. But I'm the same way. Overall, I kind of know what makes me happy, what kind of genres, games, developers that I kind of gravitate to, and I tend to do that as well. So good to hear y'all's feedback on that. I have an article coming out that I'll talk about a little bit later that I'm currently researching, and we'll spend more time on that later. But let's talk about what we're currently playing. So a couple big things came out this week. Ains, why don't you start us out? What's in your systems?
Yeah, so I think overwhelmingly a bunch of people are playing Resident Evil and Anthem. I am as well. Picked up my copy of Resident Evil yesterday. Started Claire's campaign. I'm very early yet, and looks beautiful. Really excited to get some more time to put into it. Not too much else to say on that one, other than check out Dan playing it on Backseat Gaming because it was hilarious. On Anthem, so let me give a few thoughts here. I've played that more simply because it's the game I've said is up my alley. I'm probably going to be reviewing it for the site. And I played in the alpha, so I wanted to see how the demo compared. And it's good. It's very pretty. Playing on the Xbox One X, it's very pretty, runs well. Grouping up and playing together is fun. I think there's a lot of potential in the world. I love the Javelin customization. So if you haven't gotten in there yet, you can customize every aspect of your Javelin, like even like what the material looks like whether it's metal or burnt metal or what have you, and then every single color on different areas. So there's people making Iron Man suits and, just all kinds of War Machine and all kinds of different homages to different, things in comics and anime. So I think that's really neat. I do have some concerns that are starting to come to light. A lot of the gameplay seems very, very familiar in terms of the world and what you're doing to Destiny. And it's, I know a lot of people get mad when they compare to Destiny, but let's face facts. Destiny is a huge, huge game with millions and millions of players. And Anthem is not going to be able to avoid those comparisons. And it just feels like Destiny in a lot of ways. So you're running around, you're fighting enemies, every scattered all over the place. You're picking up resources to make weapon upgrades. The enemies don't really drop loot. You kind of get loot in your backpack that you uncover when you go back to base. And those weapons and stuff have like a base power. So instead of like something like a true ARPG where it shows you your damage per second and the stats and everything on each weapon and you can mix and match, it's like you got a machine gun, it's a 12 and this is a 14. So this 14 is higher than 12. And that's an aspect of Destiny that always drove me nuts. It's like, I can do math, guys. I don't need you to simplify it to like Fisher Price ARPG. And I feel that's where Anthem is going to kind of capture that large audience. And that I don't know if that's going to bite them in the butt for people like me. And it's, sorry, I need a couple minutes. So the reason I say that is look how big Diablo is. Diablo has tens and tens of millions of people that play that game. It has sold tens and tens of millions of copies. And guess what? That people playing that game figured it out. Like you don't have to dumb it down to bring more people into the game. And I'm afraid that Anthem is doing that. So we'll see what it looks like long term. I'm anxious to get my hands on the full game, but I do have concerns.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw I was falling asleep through all that. It was great.
God damn it.
The Kingdom Hearts versus Anthem battle.
Go ahead, Dan. I was just.
You're fine. I also played a little bit of the demo. I'm gonna probably play it most of the day today. I understand what you're saying with the loot.
I'm actually curious to hear your thoughts, Dan, as someone who's I don't think you're as into that stat building as I am, right?
No,
RPG, yeah.
Right. I played the crap out of Diablo or Diablo 2 anyway. I played them all, but Diablo 2 was where it was at, man. But yeah, they've got it figured out, over there at Blizzard. This one, I haven't gotten too much loot. I've only done a couple of missions, so it's hard for me to. I can see where they're going. You can see that there's definitely Destiny-ish stuff there. A little bit that I've played Destiny, but for me, I'm fine with them dumbing it down because I'm not. I can't get in there and anything that's going to help me kind of streamline the experience, I think is great. And I think, as a developer, that's probably where they're going with it. And for the more hardcore gamers like yourself, it's hard to kind of find that balance, I think, between wanting to bring all these new people in and give them this experience that maybe they haven't had before, but also keeping those people that really are into those ARPGs satisfied as far as the loot system and progression and everything like that. There is a ton of customization, it looks like, once you get into it. And I think that's going to obviously, speak to the hardcore gamers and the people that like that kind of stuff. For me, it's going to be like, how much health can I put on this javelin and boost it to as high as possible so I don't die a lot. I think it's the system is simple enough to figure out, but it's also got some complexities. But we haven't seen a whole ton of it yet.
Right.
But, yeah. But on the what you see is it's definitely Destiny-ish for sure. But aside from all that, gameplay is super fun. I haven't had any issues aside from getting into the demo. But and not getting my friend's codes, which kind of sucks, but is what it is. I love the controls. They're pretty intuitive, except when you're flying around a little bit. I like to run into stuff. I just figured out today that if you go really, really low and like kind of skim across the water, it cools down your javelin, and you don't have to. It doesn't overheat. Because I was like, this is garbage. I watched all these videos of these javelins, like 4 of them jumping off this thing, like, hey, and then just Iron Manning it for like 20 minutes through all this stuff. And I never really knew that it overheated. So I was like, all of a sudden, the first time I played it, I overheated and then it just went, meh. I was like, this is garbage. But once you figure that kind of stuff out, it's fine. I'm sure there'll be ways to, increase that, time and, give you buffs to where you can be floating a little bit longer or flying a little bit longer. It's fun. It reminds me of if you took Destiny, those kind of aspects and mash it in with Mass Effect. I see a lot of Mass Effect in it. Especially, I hate to say this, but like Andromeda, just the combat system, the way it worked. Not so there, there's not a whole lot of cover base, just a lot more aggressive than Andromeda was. But it's fun. I've had a really good time, even just the few hours I spent with it. So,
Dan, you're the third person that I've heard use that exact comparison. So
really?
I've heard people say it's Mass Effect combat in a Destiny world is exactly what the.
It's really similar.
It's probably a pretty good way to describe it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it's. Oh, go ahead, James. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Dan. You're good.
No, I was waiting for you.
I just remember one of the other things that I find weird is so you don't get experience points for killing things. So you can run around and kill things over and over and over again. You get experience point for feats. And so there's this huge laundry list of things like killing things with your special rocket, and killing elite enemies and there's all these other things you get bonus XP for, but you don't actually just get a flat XP for killing enemies. So I think that's kind of strange. And you don't really, like I said, see loot drops from the enemies. It's like you do things, and then when you're done the expedition, you have stuff in your backpack that it shows you at the end. You don't pick things up as you're playing. So just for me personally, I think the Mass Effect, which I hadn't considered, Mass Effect Andromeda meets Destiny, is a very, very apt comparison. I would have preferred Destiny meets Borderlands.
Yeah, that would have been cool too.
That would have been better to me.
Yeah, I like where you're going, but for Borderlands, it was just so much. Like everybody dropped everything. I mean, I love Borderlands too.
Dude, there is nothing better than killing a boss in Borderlands and just seeing like 100 lights of loot. It's like, yes, this is awesome.
It is awesome. Aside from the demo, I've been playing Dishonored: Death of the Outsider. Is that what it's called?
Yep. The good?
Super. It's really good. But here's the thing. This is the third time I've started that game. Not because I haven't liked it, because I start it and then something else comes out. It's the old adage. I don't even know what the adage is. Don't buy so many stupid games, Dan. But it's I didn't get into it as I did like the regular or Dishonored 1 and 2.
Right.
Just some of the mechanics are a little bit different, but it's pretty good. And I'm hoping to finish that up this week. And then I can't really talk about Dreams. I got into the demo or the beta or whatever it is.
Yep.
And it's got some potential. That's all I'll say. I mean, I don't know what the NDA says or what I can talk about, so I'll just gonna say it's pretty cool.
There's a ton of leak stuff from people.
Yeah, you can see. Yeah, you can get online and see. You know, I think somebody did Dead Space.
Yeah,
cool. Which is awesome. Or that in PT.
I did Cuphead.
Yeah, I saw the Cuphead one. Right. I haven't got that deep into it. I'm just kind of learning the basics, and I think it's you see these games like Little Big Planet or what was the Project Spark back in the day for the Xbox, right? So I saw some people on Twitter saying, this is going to flop because gamers aren't creative. That guy's an idiot. So I think you're going to get a lot of people that are going to, if it's as easy to access as I think it's going to be, I think a lot of people are going to really, at least come up with something small, which I think will be really cool. So
there's an aspect that I think helps your point there, Dan, that I learned about actually just this morning, listening to a different podcast, is that it's not only a shared game where you can say, here's what I created and share it with other people. You can do that all the way down to the asset level. So for instance, say I create a piano. This was the example they gave on a different podcast. I create a piano. Well, then you can use that piano in your game and say, look, I'm putting a piano over here. And then you could say, like, I wrote a song that you can play on the piano. And then I could take that song and say, look, you can play a song. And so it's all the way down to that minutia in sharing. So like, say you want to make a Cuphead game, the assets for Cuphead, Mugman, maybe some of the stuff will already be out there for you to make. Right. And you can just add your flair to it. So I think that's going to be a big thing.
Yeah, I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to, I don't know if it's going to be like industry changing or anything, but I think people are really going to have fun with it. And I think that, there's no single player. This is all the creative mode that's in the demo. So it'll be good. I think people are going to underestimate this one. So that's all I've been playing.
Right.
We're finally going to let you talk, Bert.
Yeah,
sorry, Bert.
It's going to be a short Bitcast, but we're right on time, so we're good. I'll be quick on my stuff. I've been playing Resident Evil 2. Funny enough, playing it again and playing that single player experience has made me really probably consider that my favorite genre, the single player experience story with something like that. I love Resident Evil games. I've played all of them multiple times, and Resident Evil 2 is just great. So if you loved the first time you played the original, not the entire remake, whatever you want to call this one, reimagining, you're going to love this one too. It's beautiful. It's great. Story's great. And then the other cool thing about it is the replayability. I'm about 2.5 hours into the game, so not there, but if I remember the replayability, you can play through multiple times. You get different experiences with different characters, etc. So make sure you play that multiple times if you are planning on picking it up. I did wrap up Horizon Zero Dawn. I mentioned last week I was working on the DLC. I did go back and finish every trophy. If you were a fan of Horizon Zero Dawn and you have that Frozen Wild DLC disc or whatever, give it a try. It's great. It's something that you are going to feel very comfortable in going back into it. Great story. Starts out slow, picks up, and it finishes off really strong. All the new abilities and everything are just a blast, and it's a lot of fun. It's only around 8 to 10 hours, so it's not a very super long thing that you'll be very invested into. If you're trophy chasing, might be around the 15-hour mark, that one. The Anthem demo, I'm not, as you guys know, the ARPG things are something that to me is just getting kind of a tired genre for me personally. I will give it a try, check it out. I did try playing last night while I was waiting for you guys to finish a PUBG match, and I got into it. Funny enough, I got kicked out right afterwards, and thankfully it was time to play some PUBG. So I've heard all the issues are now gone and people can get in and play it. I will give it a try. I'm not sure if I'm going to be picking it up at launch, so I'll probably do the 10-hour trial, be happy with that, and then wait till it's all ironed out and actually ready to play. That's where I see myself going in that one. And more than anything, I've really been enjoying the Vikendi update for PUBG. It's just awesome. It's, as we always talk about, PUBG does some big things that very few games can actually give you that stuff, that feeling. And got that chicken dinner last night, which was fun. Gotten really close to it on a number of other times, so it's kind of cool to return to PUBG and play it on the X where we're at today. So that's what I'm playing. So
just cooking up a little chicken dinner in my pan here.
Okay.
So real quick, your point about Anthem being potentially buggy and your feelings about that. So I've seen some bugs in the demo. I've now finished 2 expeditions. So in the demo, you start at level 10 and you can go to level 15. I finished the first expedition last night and got to like 3/4 to level 11. And since then, I've finished 2 other expeditions, got a bunch of XP while playing. And at the end of the last mission, it said I unlocked a second javelin. You can get a second javelin in this demo, the Colossus it showed. So, but both times I've gotten back to base now, I'm still at the same level and same experience. So it didn't give it to me. And I don't have the second javelin.
Yeah, I thought the second javelin opened up at 14.
I thought so too, but I have it on my screen. It said you've unlocked the javelin. It showed the Colossus, and it hasn't given me any XP for 2 expeditions straight now.
Damn, that sucks.
So yeah, I mean, and they're saying the game is done, so we'll see. I don't know what this demo build is from. So
nice, yeah. The other thing is, like, I think the ARPG stuff in general, I think they're very hard to launch without bugs. So expect bugs. I mean, you can't expect a perfect experience at the start. They'll iron them out, and then that'll be the game to play, I'm sure.
And I think,
go ahead.
I think to your point, I think in my opinion, that's why Division 2 is going to launch better than Anthem in a better state, because they're just iterating on all the stuff they've done on Division 1 for 3 years. Yep. And I think they're just better prepared for that long tail.
Yeah, a lot of lessons learned, I'm sure, because Division's 1 launch was not good.
Yeah, it was rough.
Okay, that's our currently playing, folks. We're going to move over to Name That Game. This week, Ains is going to take the reins on this one. And let's see how we do. So go ahead, Ains.
All right. So keeping track here, we have one question or one game that nobody got, Dan, Golgo. Other than that, we are all tied with 2 wins. So whoever wins today will take the lead on the year, or since we started, I should say. All right. So let's see. Who guessed first last week? I think Dan did. So Bert, why don't you go ahead first this week?
Sure.
First question. This game first released in 2001 for the PC and 2002 for the PS2 and Xbox.
Half-Life.
Oh, good guess, but no.
What year was the first one?
2001 on PC, 2002 for the PS2 and original Xbox.
What did I say last week?
If you say Pokemon, I'm going to
Pokemon. No. So 19. I'm sorry. I'm having trouble focusing here. Say that one more time.
2001.
2001.
2002.
2002. Yes. Grand Theft Auto. I don't know.
You can guess.
That's it.
No.
Yes. No. Shit.
The game contains question 2. Dan, you're up. Game contains references to Norse mythology.
Oh.
This should be Bert should get it after this one. So,
yeah, I'm kind of worried. You know, you always get worried that someone's going to get it super fast, but we'll see.
I think I know what it might be, but I could be wrong completely.
I got nothing, man. Grand Theft Auto 3.
Is that really your guess?
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, I'm just gonna throw the weirdest shit out there. If I have no clue, we're just gonna go with it. All right.
Good
to go.
Okay. Is it Too Human?
No. God, I haven't heard that name in.
No shit.
Wow. You pulled that one out of the corner. There was a port to the Game Boy Advance in 2003.
Oh my gosh. So a game released in some form 3 years in a row.
Jeez, what the hell?
PC moved over to console and Game Boy Advance has Viking references. Seaman.
That game's crazy, man. What a game that was.
No idea, man.
Game Boy.
Game Boy Advance.
Which, by the way, when I started doing research, I didn't even know.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I just happened to stumble upon that when I was researching
it. Norse mythology. Fuck, man. I fucking know. Warcraft.
Actually, not a bad guess. Yeah.
I have no idea.
All right. Question 4. There was later a movie based on the game.
Oh, man.
Damn it. Oh, yeah, it would have been Warcraft, right? Goddamn
Warcraft again.
Yeah, let's do that again.
War, it's not Warcraft.
Oh, crapola.
Did Uwe Boll direct this movie?
God, I hope not.
I thought he directed all of them.
I actually don't know.
Has he done all game movies? No.
Is it my turn?
Yeah, it's your turn still.
Turok.
Love that game.
I love that game. I was throwing out. I don't even know when the hell that son of a bitch came out.
That came out on N64.
Okay, I was way off.
I'm gonna go with a bad guess, hoping for the next clue. And since I followed up, a Blood Rain.
Nope. God, isn't that considered one of the worst movies ever? It was when it released.
It's pretty bad.
All right, question 5. There was a sequel in 2003, and there are 3 games in the entire series. That's a double clue for you.
God damn it!
Fucking bullshit.
It's not Legacy of Kain, is it?
No, that's another good guess.
That's a good guess, though.
Yeah. Was it? I don't know if that ever had a Game Boy kind of version.
I can't remember.
You know what I only heard this week was Amy Hennig did Legacy of Kain. We were talking about her last week.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Norse mythology.
Trilogy was a movie.
Was a movie.
2001, 2002.
Wait, hold on. Wait, can I ask a question now? Was it based on the game, or the movie? The movie came out after the game.
Came out after the game. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not a movie. It's not a movie game. It's a
right.
Movie. Yeah.
The movie was based off the game.
Correct. Yep.
For listeners, this is a lot harder on the spot.
Yeah, it does suck ass.
This is one that, you'll definitely, when you hear it, you'll be like, oh, well, no shit. And again, we do that every time, I think. So, except for Golgo.
Oh.
I don't even know what came out in 2002, man. Ratchet and Clank. I don't even know.
Another great game.
When the hell did that come out?
Wasn't on PC, though.
Yeah, that's
Or
bullshit.
Game Boy.
PlayStation exclusive.
Yeah, PlayStation. All right, so we're on question 6. The third game was developed by a different studio than the first 2 games.
That helps me 0.
That's actually a big clue.
To who? Okay, so it was on the PS2.
Yep.
On the PC, it was on
original Xbox.
Advance?
Game Boy Advance in 2003. Yep.
No idea.
Now, obviously, the Game Boy Advance version was very different, right, than the PC, PS2, Xbox, but yeah.
Maybe. Mortal Kombat. I don't know.
Nope.
I got nothing.
Come on, Bert. Bring it up.
Struggling, man.
I'm trying to remember the name of this correctly, but is it the Warhammer series?
No. Warhammer 40,000. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they had the Space Warrior game that's
Space Hulk.
Yeah, Space Hulk. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, that was my guess. Warhammer. That was my guess, but
okay, we're getting there. Don't worry, it's coming. All right, question 7. It took place in New York City and involved the mafia.
Took place in New York City and involved the mafia.
Is it your turn?
Yeah.
I have no clue.
God, see, this is the problem, right? I thought someone would have had it questions ago. It's so hard when you're coming up with these questions.
Is this going to be a duh thing, or is it going to be a game?
It's going to be a duh thing. Trust me. You're going to bang your head against the wall.
Just say mafia.
Mafia. No, because I played the hell out of that, and there's no Norse mythology in that.
Wait a minute. Yeah, mafia and Norse mythology?
Involved the mafia.
Now, remember, I said references to Norse mythology, not that it's a game, that you're playing Norse mythology.
So if somebody just says Thor.
Well, no, it's more than that.
Okay.
Oh, okay. That True Crimes game? I can't remember.
Good guess.
True Crimes. That game was awesome.
Yeah, no, it's not. That was a good guess, though.
Hmm.
I don't even remember. Yeah, I don't remember when.
Yeah. Command and Conquer.
Command and Conquer, the Mafia, New York.
The Mafia edition. I have no freaking clue.
Civilization,
All right. Here we go. It had a mechanic in the game that was heavily inspired by John Woo's cinematics.
Oh my god.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, I know what it is.
Yeah, I was gonna say if Bert doesn't get it on this one, I'm gonna smack him.
Is it Max Payne?
Damn it.
Oh, I got it. There it is.
That was
It's
it.
got to be it, right?
Yeah.
All right. The
We're-
first one?
Question eight.
I don't remember the Norse mythology thing. What was that part in?
So when I was doing research on the game, hold on.
It's the only one I could. Yeah.
I didn't know there was a Game Boy version.
Neither did I.
Yeah, it's a side scroller. It's a 2D side scroller.
Yeah,
That's
a little
dumb.
different.
Yeah, now it makes sense. Horrible movie too. Mark Wahlberg.
Freaking Mark Wahlberg.
Oh, yeah. Now I remember that damn movie.
And then
Yeah.
Rockstar did the third one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I know you were a big fan of Max Payne 3. That's why I was like, there's 3 games, and the third one was a different studio. Because Sam Lake wrote the first 2 for what do you call it? Remedy.
Yep.
Remedy.
And then Dan Houser wrote the third one with Rockstar.
That's when I was still PC gaming too. I played the hell out of that on PC.
I tried to give you all the hints. It's just hard when you're on the spot. That's all it
Yeah,
is.
for sure.
Tough.
All right, Dan, good guess. If you beat Bert to it, he would have gotten that one.
Yeah, you would have gotten that one. I think anybody would
The
have.
North thing is what threw me off. I would have never guessed.
Yeah, I never would have guessed that one.
So if you look it up and look up the Wikipedia and stuff, it gives you a whole bunch of references it made, like characters were named and missions and
Makes sense. Yeah. Now that I think about it, that makes sense.
All right, so you got on question 8, Dan.
Question 8. Nice.
Not too bad.
Yeah, I think what else did I have? My very last question was it had an effect called bullet time, and if you didn't get that, I was literally ending the Bitcast.
Yeah, that's dang it.
Okay.
All right, folks. Well, thanks for listening to our Bitcast. That does wrap us up for today. Hopefully you enjoyed Name That Game. And as we always say, if you thought that you had guessed it somewhere in question 2, 3, 4, way before us, please leave it in the comments. If you're a part of our Facebook group, same thing. We just want to know if we are just that dumb or what it was, or we need to get our video game history down a little bit better, whatever the case is. So thanks for listening to our overall Bitcast. We have a few things coming this week. So if you have had things coming this week. So we started our first Backseat Gaming with Dan at the helm in his entire series. We are playing Shadow Warrior 2. Amazingly entertaining game, so definitely tune into that if you can. We do release them on every Friday. Episode 1 is already out. The one before that, we did a bit of a special with Resident Evil 2's demo before that release, so listen to that if you can. We are going to have some more videos coming this week. I did mention last Bitcast that I was going to have one on a small PlayStation thing that I am going to be doing this week. I just ran out of time this week to where I couldn't get to filming it, but everything's ready to go there. Dan, Ains, anything coming from you guys this week?
No, we're trying to get that one series that we've been working on for a long time up and running. We've mentioned it a couple times. It's like I said, it's one of the most extensive series we've done. Takes a lot of work to put it together, so just bear with us on that. But we think you'll enjoy it when it comes out. So potentially this week, we'll see.
Yep. Dan, how about yourself?
Not a whole hell of a lot, guys. Playing some Shadow Warrior 2 here in a couple days, and that's about it.
Pulling out your wang.
Yep,
That's
just
right.
pulling out a little wang.
There you go.
It's gonna happen.
All right, folks. Well, you know where you can find us. We're on Twitter. We are now on Spotify, by the way. If you are listening to that, make sure to subscribe to us on Spotify. You might have a better experience with your podcast experience there. Well, here on YouTube, you can find us on Twitter, Season Gaming. Our Backseat Gaming channel is on Twitter as well, and you can find each of us on there as well. So thanks for listening. Hope you have a great week this week, guys, and tune in to us next time.